Legally Speaking with me, Tarun Nangia. I welcome you to our Saturdays with Sikri series, which is our fortnightly series with Justice Arjun Kumar Sikri, who, as we know, has served as the judge of Supreme Court of India. He is currently the sitting judge of Singapore International Commercial Court. And also, as we all know, since it's topical to our today's topic, has served as the Chief Justice of the Delhi High Court. And today, our topic, what we are going to discuss, is about his memories, experiences, and his observations about the Delhi High Court. So, at the outset, let me welcome Justice Arjun Kumar Sikri on Saturdays with Sikri. Welcome and good to see you again, sir.
Thank you, Tarun. Thank you very much. Thanks for inviting me on this show.
And when we talk about the Delhi High Court, which in India, I don't have to say, but everybody knows, is known as one of the finest high courts who people talk about in the legal fraternity. Can you take us back to the early days and share with us in the next 3-4 minutes how you have seen it develop?
Yeah, it's an interesting question also, and I think very topical. The subject matter which we intend to cover in today's discussion. I tell you, Delhi High Court is, in that sense, in its independent capacity, is a nascent High Court in the sense, of course, now it was established in, say, 1966. So it is now more than 50 years of age old, but then that is not a very big period for any institution, particularly in comparison with the high courts of Bombay, Madras, Calcutta, and even Allahabad, and some other high courts which are 150 to 200 years old. So in that comparison, obviously it was set up, or of course, earlier there used to be a circuit bench in Delhi, which was a part of Punjab High Court. There was no Punjab and Haryana also, because Haryana state had not, so it was Punjab High Court, and it was part of that. And in 1966, this court was established. So you can understand, and I joined profession after completing my LLB in 1977. So when I joined, it was 11 years old court at that time. So in a way, it was a child at the time. And therefore, I have seen High Court, progressing from there and by leaps and bounds over a period of time. And as you rightly say, that today it is one of the premier high courts in the country. As I remember, in my early days, no doubt, when I joined the profession, my father was also a lawyer, and he took me to some of the stalwarts of Delhi High Court Bar Association and the advocates who were there, and he wanted me to be blessed by them. And but at the same time, and there were no doubt some very, very good, brilliant lawyers we had. But most of them were either very good on criminal side or civil side, original side, etc. When it used to come to constitutional issues, issues of administrative law and other complex issues, I still remember we used to have, the advocates from Supreme Court would come, those who were, and in Supreme Court, is a hub where the senior lawyers and most established lawyers from all over the country, they come and practice, and that is the position even today. So they would come and they would be engaged to for such matters. And I still remember, as an anecdote, I tell you, our Delhi High Court used to start functioning at 10 o'clock and Supreme Court at 10:30. So many big advocates from Supreme Court will come, try to finish the matter between 10 and 10:30 and then go back. So our bar association at that time, they said that, look, no, our High Court should also start at 10:30, because why? They should take away the cream as far as the work is concerned. And it happened. But then the way High Court bar also, or the lawyers from Delhi also mushroomed over a period of time, not only, in numbers I'm talking about, but the way they rather got themselves established and showed that they are also, like any other advocates who are coming from other courts to Supreme Court, they are no less. And I must give the, I said that there were a few very, very good lawyers, so I'm not demeaning the High Court bar at that time. But then I feel that the Delhi High Court, the lawyers who could be recognized on all India basis, it started with Mr. Kapil Sibal and Mr. Arun Jaitley. Those were the lawyers in the beginning. Of course, thereafter, many lawyers, Dr. Singhvi is there who joined, Mukul Rodgi is there, and many other, are there. So today, so that is one thing insofar as bar is concerned. The way bar developed, although it was very one small act from 10 to 10:30, Supreme Court also starting from 10:30 and giving chance to the lawyers in Delhi who could then show their worth, show their mettle, and who could show that how good they are, and they are in comparison no less. Same thing I would say that applies to judiciary as well, the judges at that time. We had very, excellent judges. Some of them were really excellent judges, and I'm not naming. If I name few and then others are left out, it doesn't look nice. But then we know that some of those judges who are excellent judges became even the Chief Justices of India. And I may include Justice Sabharwal and Justice Kripal in that league. And there were many others. But at the same time, the overall impression about the Delhi High Court was that, okay, the High Court works on a slow pace. The judges may not be sitting there even, whole day from 10:30 to 4 o'clock or 4:15, 4:30, what was the timings, etc. This was at least the perception, which was to large extent, it was wrong, but it was the perception. But let me tell you, since I'm talking of judiciary and I joined judiciary in 1999, and I see somewhere in 90s, even just before me as well, the High Court, as far as judiciary is concerned, they started transforming. And since this is the question you are asking, I remember there was one justice, but in 1994, what happened, Justice Venkatachalaya was the Chief Justice of India at that time. He wanted that it should be amalgam of judges. Why from Delhi, the judges should be in Delhi, Bombay, only from Bombay. So 1/3 judges in each country should be from other courts. So, and he said that as far as Delhi is concerned, I want to make it as the best court. So it was in 94, 95, many, at least 10 to 12 judges from other courts, they came to Delhi. They were among the finest judges, there's no doubt about it. And it includes Justice Lahoti, who became Chief Justice of India, and Justice Devendra Gupta, and many others who were there. Justice Jagannath Rao came as Chief Justice, went to Supreme Court. But then I'm talking of, say, forgetting that, or not forgetting in the sense of passing that, or and towards end of 90s, the thing which happened and which made the Delhi High Court over a period of time one of the best high courts, and which continues for it's more than 20 years now. This state of affairs continues. It is because of, one is that the selections were made on merits, irrespective from which particular part of the country you belong to. If you have been practicing in Delhi, you will be you may have come from Karnataka, you may have come from Bombay, you may have come from Haryana or Punjab or anywhere. You have established yourself in Delhi, you have been practicing here. Because why I'm saying so, in many high courts, this parochial tendency is still there.
So what because I remember I spoke to a migrant lawyer who is a Tamilian who lived in Hyderabad and now is practicing at Delhi High Court. He told me that the Delhi High Court was so welcoming that I wouldn't have been able to make this mark in either Tamil Nadu or in Hyderabad. But Delhi High Court is distinctly different because it welcomes people. Would you also say that? I mean, you...
Correct. That is what I was coming to. And I think his observation is perfect, because he's making his observation from his own experience. And that has happened. These advocates, I'm saying, they came and then adorned the benches. And even when they came, Delhi, I think, is a city, Dilli Dil Walon Ki. So we, with full, big heart, we welcome everybody. And I tell you, even when there are 10 or 12 judges from other jurisdictions, as I said, various high courts who had come to Delhi, they became inherent, integral part of Delhi High Court, and nobody thought, neither the advocates nor the judges, fellow judges from Delhi, they thought that they are outsiders. They are part of us. And of course, as you know, the policy is, which is there since middle of 80s, that the Chief Justice has to be from outside. So, but then when in, particularly after 94, 95 collegium system, which started, and the collegium started picking up the people, they started picking up the people on merits. And as I said, irrespective of which place you belong to. Today, even today, and that is the position for last maybe 15, 20 years, even today, if you see the names of judges and from which area they belong to, or which is their native places, we have from Tamil Nadu, we have from Andhra, we have judges from Karnataka, we have judges from Punjab, we have judges from Haryana, we have judges from Himachal. I mean, from all over they are there, and they are treated as part of Delhi. But then since they are chosen on merits, so that has made a change. I tell you, from my experience, I am seeing, and I have seen the judges from all over, and why Delhi High Court that way is rated as better. I think most of the courts, high courts, and I keep telling that, look, we have this kind of combination that the 25% judges would be excellent. They are, category apart, much above average, excellent judges or outstanding judges. There will be 50% judges who would be average or above average. They would be, okay, they are good, doing their job well, but you can't treat them. And maybe 20-25% judges who I would rate that, okay, they have come, thanks for whatever reasons, but have not been able to do that much which is expected of them. So that is normally, I may be wrong in figures, but normally this is my perception. In Delhi, it may be in the category of very good judges or outstanding judges, it may be maybe 50 to 60%, not 25% in comparison with other high court, or not 30% or not 40%. But and that this quality judges who are very exceptionally intelligent or otherwise those who know their job, the number is, I would say, much more. Percentage wise or numerically, number is more than other courts. So that is what makes it a better high court when it is comparison. I won't say, and as you rightly said, one of the premier. I won't say Delhi High Court D is the best, because it is not proper to rate the high courts. But yes, it is one of the best.
One of the best.
And that may be one of the reasons.
So Delhi sees a lot of commercial litigation, and in business, the most important essence is speed. And they say that in Delhi, you get orders faster, the cases are listed faster. Though we are not at full capacity, we don't have the number of judges we should have, but the judges are very much efficient in this part. And that is why when we talk to a lot of businessmen, they say, okay, we will litigate only at Delhi High Court. So we may have a factory in Madhya Pradesh or Kerala, wherever, but litigation should happen in Delhi. And then you served as its Chief Justice also. Could you share how you've seen this developing? Delhi as a commercial court in that sense?
Yeah, actually, it's a very interesting question, and we have observed this. You are right. Commercial litigation, and not only commercial litigation, the litigation where the constitutional issues arise, which is again important, and I'll take both of them together. Insofar as the constitutional issues, etc., are concerned, Delhi being the seat of the center and parliament, laws are passed here. And so therefore, if somebody wants to challenge constitutional validity, etc., or some other constitutional issues arise, they would like, and the Delhi becomes the preferred choice. But if suppose, as you have rightly mentioned, if suppose there is some businessman who is located in Calcutta, one can file a petition in Calcutta High Court also. Still, they choose Delhi because of these reasons. First is that for our listing system, by and large, in every high court has their own different system, because they go by their own local, I would say, conditions also, and usage, and over a period of time, the kind of practices which are there in a particular high court. So they remain, and people cherish advocates in their own. But what is important is, and which makes Delhi High Court distinctive and better than other high court, is our listing system. If there is an urgent matter, you file it by a particular time, 11:30 in the registry, it will be listed the very next day. If urgency is so much that you want to get it listed on the same day, you mention it to the Chief Justice, and if the Chief Justices would be sensitive that if the matter should be listed, exceptions apart, but if matter is to be listed, it can be listed on the same day. So in many commercial matters, and I give you the example of intellectual property matters, and this anybody can discern it and read it and feel it, that if you see 50s, 60s, 70s, or even maybe till the middle of 80s, etc., the intellectual property, most of this litigation was in Bombay High Court, Calcutta High Court, and some other high courts. Delhi had litigation, but in their comparison, it was not much. Today, and this is the position which is now prevailing for last maybe 20 years or so, entire IPR litigation, and if one would see how much litigations were, I think in Delhi High Court, it would be 60% of the entire country's litigation, maybe even more, some or little more or less, plus minus 2-3%. So why it has happened? If you need, and sometimes when cease and desist orders, suppose some duplicate goods are there, somebody selling, and you need cease and desist order, you want somebody should go there and take if you want that case to be filed on the same day, it can be listed, whereas in some other high courts it will not be listed for maybe 2 weeks. So I have seen, even as a lawyer, when I was lawyer, and some of because I did not practice much on intellectual property, but I'll come to that on a different aspect. But I have seen those friend lawyers who are working on intellectual property, their petitions or the plaints drafted in some other high court. The lawyer of that high court, but they will give it to him. No, we want to file it in Delhi. It is prepared. I'm not naming other cities, but prepared there, but ultimately filed because it will be listed immediately. And this kind of environment, a conducive or friendly litigation environment which was created in Delhi High Court, this attracted much of the intellectual property cases in Delhi, and that applies to other commercial matters as well. When it came to arbitration, commercial arbitration, international arbitrations, etc., and there's a problem of enforcement of awards. That problem is I won't say that Delhi is totally satisfactory and the award can be enforced much quickly. No, I would say we have to, in even Delhi High Court, to do a lot. But in comparison, Delhi may be far better. And if it takes, say, 3 years or 4 years in some other court, it may be taking 1 to 2 years in Delhi. And of course, such kinds of improvements or reforms are tried to be brought in every high court. I'm not we should be treated as demeaning any other high court. Other high courts are also trying to do their best, no doubt about it. But we are not here for comparison. I'm only talking about Delhi High Court, and that is the subject. So that is one reason. So as far as because of these reasons, then many good constitutional aspects or constitutional issues which are brought forward Delhi High Court, which has made lawyers better, they shaped up better, and even judges better. And the same thing happened when it comes to commercial litigation or litigation in IPR, etc. So these are some of, I remember Justice Karju when he came as Chief Justice, and that is the credit which goes to the judges, as you rightly pointed out, that today even the strength is less. But you must have seen, as you are close to, a close observer of the judiciary, must have seen some of the judges, even because the work is so much, working up to 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock in the evening, they want to finish their work. So that is the zeal of doing this hard work. Not everybody, but there are many such instances when it comes to Delhi High Court. And I was telling you, Justice Karju, I remember when he was Chief Justice, and it was around maybe 7:30 or 8 o'clock from his chamber, because as Chief Justice has to do a lot of administrative work also, was going. And this is what he said. And he said, I would find in every chamber, judges are sitting and doing their work. So judges keep doing their work till 7:38, and even because the High Court officially the building has to be closed or shut at about 9 o'clock. So we'll find some of the judges leaving at 9 o'clock because now the building is to be locked. So therefore they work till that time. So that is what is happening. And I would also here say that another factor which has been some of the chief justices from other high courts which came, and I'm talking since I became judge in 1999, and I'm not saying before that, there have been some chief justices before that also, but some of the chief justices came from outside. They were really good and contributed a lot. I would take the name of Justice A.P. Shah there, Justice Pasayat, Justice Variawa from Bombay High Court, one of the excellent, and even Justice Sinha. I may have missed some other names also, but then these 4-5 names, Justice Deepak Mishra, these have been outstanding judges. Another, as far as Justice Deepak Mishra is concerned, I tell you one, and this is an anecdote and one good thing, which is that today, I don't know for last few years what is the position as far as bonhomie and how they gel together and work together, that kind which just we used to have what we call pan clubs in our Delhi High Court. So one good thing is that all of us take the lunch together, which is now emulated in some other high courts as well. Few high courts have been taking from very beginning, but many other high courts, I know Justice Swatantra Kumar, when he went as Chief Justice of Bombay High Court, he started that practice there. But what I'm trying to say is that lunch together, you are able to talk to each other, no shop talking. This is the rule. If somebody talks and says anything about a case, pending or even judgment given and all that, there's a penalty. And he has to give lunch to everybody. So he has to host that lunch. And there's a marshal, and whatever marshal says ultimately is finally, that is in other high courts also, that has to be complied with, his direction. So therefore, no shop talk, but all other kinds of talk. And you, are giggling, discussing, making, cracking jokes and all. So it makes the atmosphere lighter. You have worked so much till lunchtime, so you are able to unwind yourself. You regain the energy and start working after lunch again. But Justice, as I was telling, Justice Mishra started one thing whenever there are birthdays. Two things. One, I told you about pan clubs. What used to happen after the lunch, there would be a group of 5-7 judges, 2-3 groups. They would go to chamber of one person and would sit there. Of course, that rest of the time during lunch, and the pan club means some of them would bring ask for pan and would eat pan there, but that is why, but not necessarily. But after this pan was not allowed, there was, so therefore they stopped having that, but elaichi and other things of cardamom, they will eat, but that it used to be called pan club. But then Justice Mishra said no, everybody would remain in the judges lounge only, and from here only you go to your respective, which continued. And another good thing which he started was, and after him when I became acting Chief Justice, he asked me to continue, on the birthday of each judge, not only there would be cake cutting ceremony and bouquet would be given, he would write a very beautiful message on a card and would present to that particular judge. It would be read out and presented. So this is which, at least till the time I was acting Chief Justice, it continued. It must have continued sometime thereafter also, but I think it is not there. But then these are some of the things which makes the atmosphere more friendly, and these, I feel, contribute to the energy of a judge. And when we generally discuss the thing, it contributes to the efficiency of a judge also. These are some of the aspects which, and only one thing more, which, going back to that, what was the reason for becoming this court as one of the premier high courts. One, I said that selection, etc., and good persons from all over. Another thing that some of the judges, let me tell you, paraphrase it with this introduction, that there was a time when we had original side. On original side, applications are argued, evidence is read, etc. But then when matter reaches the final stage and final argument, because only then the suit is decided, decree is passed, it will remain there and would not be argued for years together. But this, I still remember even Justice Kirpal, who was judge of Delhi High Court, he had done tremendous work. I mean, one of the exceptionally good judges and very fast judges. And when he was in Supreme Court and we were in High Court, and once he remarked that, look, you people don't do the final matters, we call it in final category matters at all. So I had to tell him, and we were 3-4 judges, we told him, sir, things have changed now, you see. But I give credit, I'm not naming again those judges, the 3-4 judges, those who, as far as the original side is concerned, ensured, and in those times, it's not only the cases were decided, the entire pendant list of all the cases which are at final stage before those benches, they were finished. So what was a good thing is that quality along with quantity. So the focus on both. We have seen quality judgments when, because the issues are important and interesting issues, they would lead to interesting judgments also, and they would contribute to the growth of law as well. The new principles would be laid down, it would be expounded, etc. So that thing happens. But along with that, I remember at one point of time when just before I became acting Chief Justice, 3 or 4 years before that, we had a pendency of, at that time, I don't know the figures today, 125,000 cases. And when I had gone as Chief Justice of Punjab and Haryana High Court from Delhi, and of course, I remained for a few months, 10 or 11 months, but before that also, 3-4 years before that it had started, it had come down to 60,000. So we could reduce dependency to half. And 60,000 for a high court was not very big figure, because when I went to Punjab and Haryana Court, of course, that is a big court, 2 states, 1 union territory also, where the dependency I found was more than 3 lakhs. So 60,000 for a high court was, so therefore it was manageable. Of course, over a period of time, it has been going up and down for various reasons. But these are some of the reasons which make our court Delhi High Court, and I'm proud of Delhi.
Today was indeed a very beautiful discussion. I found out so much from you, which the viewers would like, especially the anecdotes on Justice Deepak Mishra, the issue of intellectual property, and so many other things you shared. Indeed, episode which people will go back to again and again and watch. Thank you so much for sharing all of this with us. This Saturdays with Sikri segment was indeed one of the best that we did. And looking forward to do more such shows with you. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Tarun. Thanks very much.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.